Hi, it's Tash. Welcome to Tash's Library. Today's video is a little bit of a departure from my normal videos because I'm going to look at my top 5 non-fiction books. Yes, I know I mainly talk about fantasy, sci-fi, but I do like some non-fiction and I thought I would feature them here. There are a variety of books here, mostly science because I really like science, and a little bit of linguistics and horror. These are in no particular order, they just my top 5. So the first one I'm going to look at is The Disappearing Spoon by Sam Kean. This is a superb book. It explores the history of the periodic table, and I love the periodic table. It focuses on the discovery of elements and how their discovery impacted their discoverers. So if you're not that keen on the periodic table elements because you're not really interested in the detailed chemistry of the elements, then this book is for you, because it's predominantly funny and crazy anecdotes about discoveries and about the impact of these elements on the world and on the people who discover them. It is so well written and engaging. You are not going to be bored at any point. It does not feel like reading a textbook, and it's just highly relatable and accessible science. If you've been wanting to get into a science book and you're not sure where to start, this is where I'd recommend you start. This is excellent. Another science book that I really enjoyed is A Brief History of Nearly Everything by Bill Bryson. This is a journey through the history of science from the Big Bang onwards. And it incorporates a plethora of sciences. So physics, chemistry, astronomy, geology, biology, oceanography, anthropology. It has it all. It does say nearly everything. And it's pretty accurate in that. It does cover nearly everything. Now, of course, because it's all in one book, it's going to be brief. It is going to be brief. And of course, it's going to miss out some aspects of the history of science. But Bill Bryson is such a great writer, and he manages to discuss scientific theory and history in a really humorous and anecdotal form. It is succinct, yet the choices it makes in terms of what the key moments in science actually were is excellent. It's a great book to read. Probably the only criticism now is it's a bit dated because it obviously hasn't been updated since it was first published, and there have been significant discoveries in science since then. But still, it is a beautiful, beautiful homage to science. Another book by Bill Bryson. I know Bill Bryson makes it on here twice, mainly because I had a period where I was really obsessed with his books and I read most of them. But the other one I loved was Mother Tongue. And this is probably because I find linguistics absolutely fascinating. It explores the history, eccentricities, and resilience of the English language. Once again, in Bryson's wonderful anecdotal writing style. It covers all sorts of things, such as the links between English and other languages. So it looks at different accents across the English-speaking world, but also different word meanings in different places that speak English. And this is really funny. And it also looks at the development of swearing, which was an awesome chapter. And once again, I laughed out loud in some of these sections. It is fascinating to think how language shapes us. Language defines us in a lot of ways, and understanding where our language comes from and how it is ever evolving is a beautiful thing. The fourth book I want to discuss is Danse Macabre by Stephen King, who is, of course, the horror guru. And in this book, he explores the history of the horror genre with a focus on the 1950s to 1980s. So yes, it is limited. This doesn't go beyond that. But it's a fascinating examination of how historical and cultural contexts actually shape literature and film. It is such an interesting study. I was absolutely riveted. And I'd highly recommend this to anyone interested in cultural history, in cultural phenomena, and how culture changes across time. It explores archetypes and the role of fear in particular in the shaping of the horror genre, and how that fear is fed by particular situations and cultural, historical, political, social change. Highly readable. It is a beautiful and fascinating. Highly recommend. And finally, and I could potentially say this is probably my favorite on the list, but this could be a recency bias because I did read it this year. But it's The Rise and Fall of the Dinosaurs by Steve Brusatte. I read this in January and adored it. It was my favorite book in January, and it's my favorite a non-fiction book that I've read this year. Now, Steve Brusatte is an American paleontologist who has named 15 species of dinosaur and is currently professor of paleontology at Edinburgh University. So he knows his stuff, and he explores the history of dinosaurs across the Triassic, Jurassic, and Cretaceous periods, looking at their distribution, their evolution, their diversity, their behavior, and their final demise. His writing style, however, is what brings this to a new level. It is so captivating with anecdotes, fascinating descriptions, and it almost reads like a novel. I couldn't put it down. I just needed to find out what was the next dinosaur that they were going to discover, and how it lived, and how it interacted with other dinosaurs and other species. It does also include new discoveries, such as the discovery that dinosaurs have feathers and all that, and Steve Brusatte was instrumental in that, which is kind of cool. And most of all, it had heaps on the Archaeopteryx, which is my favorite all-time dinosaur. So yes, this was an awesome book, and I cannot wait to read Steve Brusatte's other book, The Rise and Reign of the Mammals, but I'm still waiting for it to be released in an edition that matches my dinosaur one. So fingers crossed that that's going to be as good, if not better. And that's it. They are my 5 favorite non-fiction books of all time as of September 2023. Thank you for watching, and until I see you next time, take care.